Should you really have a backup plan? There is new research that shows half of all women have a guy on the back burner just in case things go wrong in their current relationship. Physician and national mindful living expert Dr. Romie Mushtaq is here to talk more about that. Dr. Romie, seriously?
Good morning, Tom. I know, and I
Come on, this sounds positively guy,
doesn't it? And I have to sit here and defend all of us women, but this is the latest psychology research. I was just as shocked reading this data. More than half of women who are
happily married women are doing this?
Have a backup plan. And what is a backup plan? It means you have someone on the back burner.
So a specific person they've identified. A specific person
that they've identified, and in most cases it was either an ex-boyfriend or an old friend who never made it to the dating category.
Get out of town.
Unfortunately, yes. And the problem is social media has just made it too easy to have such a type of behavior.
Right, so I know you're here to say, though,
yes,
watch out, because this
Absolutely.
You know, this shouldn't be much of a surprise to brothers, man. It just shouldn't. I mean, at the end of the day, we understand that in this Babylonian society, it's hard for us to really moderate and control the woman when it comes to what's around her and what she sees. She's more susceptible to these things just when it comes to her getting caught up in, you know, being in a situation where it's infidelity or she's disloyal. You see it a lot in this society. There's times where, you know, I'm walking down the block and there's a couple walking past me and the woman will look at me. This happens to me a lot. And it's not to brag or nothing like that, but it's just, you know, it's just something I notice, something I see, and it just speaks to the disloyalty of the woman. They're carnal. They're more susceptible to, you know, breaking that bond, breaking that, you know, that faction, that union. They're more susceptible to it because they're receivers. They're receivers. So it's easier for them to get caught up. That's why it's important for you to establish a certain union that's strong to the point where you guys are on the same page and it's not a thing where there's uncertainty and whatnot. Very, very important in these days, especially in Babylon. But sometimes the more important thing, or most of the time, the first is always putting the Most High. You know, the Most High first. That's the most important thing. And that's why, you know, I wanted to get into this scripture here in Proverbs 31, verse 3, where it says, "Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings." Because it's important for you to understand the woman, and that's how you move. You move according to your understanding of the woman. If you don't have a true understanding of the woman, then you're going to be a simp. You're going to fall. You got to know how she play. You can't give power unto her. Even if she do stuff like this, don't give power to that. You got to look at it like, you know what? It is what it is. Sometimes pragmatism is the best way. That way you teach her that what you do is not going to affect me because I already understand how you move. I understand how you play. You're a receiver. That's just what they are. So it's easy for them to get caught up in these things. Not saying that it's not easy for the man, but it's more easier for the woman. Remember what happened with King David and Uriah's wife. Remember what happened with Eve, where she was beguiled, easily beguiled, because she's a receiver. She's a receiver. So it's important for us to understand when it comes to these type of dynamics. These women ain't loyal. Chris Brown got a song about it for a reason, because it's true. It's a real true statement. They're not. They're carnal. You know, it's more easier for them to do things that's based in, you know, being shameless. You know, they don't really have integrity like that. Not saying that they don't have it at all, but for the most part, they lack it. It's more stronger with men than it is with women. Just when it comes to integrity and just doing the right thing. You know? And sometimes it's not. Sometimes, you know, the man gets caught up. Sometimes the man is disloyal, so on and so forth. But for the most part, you see it with women because they're more carnal. You know, and they're more easier to be impressed upon when it comes to outside stimuli and the TV and all these things that's meant to deceive her and mess up the family union, mess up the union in general. You know, it's all about sowing that dissension when it comes to these agendas as well. But it's crazy, you know, most of these women, they have that backup man where it's like something they fall back on if their relationship is a little rocky. It's something that you already should know. dick in a glass or penis in a glass per se. You know, it just is what it is. That's this world. That's why it's important to put the Most High first. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. You know, it's important for us not to get into that infatuation phase, not to get caught up and be deceived by it, or, you know, be a simp. At the end of the day, we have to understand women like new things. They like things fresh. But as time goes on and wane, you start to see the real her. And, you know, for the most part, that applies to everybody. But like I said, it's more stronger with her. Why? Because she is the weaker vessel. So these things are going to apply to her more strongly. You know, that's why they use the woman. Just when it comes to the agendas that's being pushed by the powers that be, that's why they at the top. It's just important for us to understand we got to be steadfast and be aware. But understand that they're still a necessity. They're still lovely. They still bring things to the table that's, you know, that's beneficial. They have qualities. But for the most part, they show, you know, their base level. And this is Ecclesiasticus. This is the book of Sirach, starting at verse 17, chapter 25. The wickedness of a woman changeth her face, and darkeneth her countenance like sackcloth. Her husband shall sit among his neighbors, and when he heareth it, shall sigh bitterly. Yes, just going into the understanding of these things that occur when it comes to these dynamics that ensue, as far as a man being just pretty much stressed out because of what's going on in a relationship that's just toxic, or, you know, is not working out because of the things that she's doing that's affecting the relationship in a negative way. All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her, because the understanding goes back to Eve. These women, they're modern day Eve. They're wicked just like her. And Eve pretty much Lilith when it comes to that other side. And they show it just as far as like going into the ends of the earth to do things that's like, you know, on that nth degree, that 100th degree, where it's like burning your clothes or bleaching your stuff, or, you know, keying your car, sleeping with your brother, or stuff like that. Like wickedness on a different level. That's like piercing. As a climbing up a sandy way is to the feet of the aged, so is a wife full of words to a quiet man. Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for pleasure. Important for you to take your time, be meticulous. You have to utilize discernment when it comes to these women, especially with the understanding of the beauty that comes with them. Like, they're beautiful, so it's important for you to utilize discernment. Take your time, knowing that it's not all about the appearance. It's more about, you know, the interior. What's on the inside coming from out, or coming out per se. A woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach, which is apropos, which is understandable. A woman should not be taking care of a man. In certain instances, you know, if she's loyal, she's holding him down because he probably hit a road where, you know, he's down, or a stumbling block where, you know, he lost his job or something like that. But for the most part, it can't be the main thing. It can't be a thing that's too consistent to the point where it's like, okay, now, you know, we can't keep doing this. And it's understandable. It's nothing that you could really blame her for. A wicked woman abateth the courage, maketh an heavy countenance, and a wounded heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress maketh weak hands and feeble knees. This is why the bond is important. This is why the union has to be strong, because when a man is in stress, he needs his woman. He needs that affection. And when he doesn't receive that, that's what you see. You know, weak hands, feeble knees, just that aspect of the man just being down and out in certain aspects. That's why the woman is a necessity. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all died. That's Eve. You know, that's Eve. Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gather abroad, because the woman is susceptible to doing things that can break the union. That's just is what it is. Gathering abroad, meaning just walking the streets, doing whatever the fuck she want to do. You know, just being real. But yeah, man, it's important for us to keep in mind that these women, they are not loyal. They just aren't. You should always have in the back of your mind that your woman could be talking to somebody else, is entertaining someone, texting someone, so on and so forth. That's just how it is in Babylon.